Well, it's a quiet lead in the morning, isn't it? So, good morning, everybody. JT here with you at 9 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday, and it is the morning drive with Testa and Carpenter coming up here shortly. And we're also going to be welcoming our new guy in. And I can't wait to introduce him and let him introduce himself and tell everybody who he is. But Matt Carey coming in, and Matt's going to be our memory guy. I'm the old guy in the crew, I think. I don't know, Matt, I don't know. He might be close, but sometimes you just got so much information going on through your mind, you just can't get it all sorted out. Well, Matt's going to be that guy to help us along the way in our show and kind of try to keep us organized. We'll see how it all works out. Want to welcome everybody in from all the different channels that are out there: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube TV, well, YouTube actually, and X out there. We're streaming to all those channels out there this morning. My Instagram folks, you guys are awesome. Instagram just does such a great job of putting it out there that there's a live stream happening at the moment, and it's available for everybody out there to take a look at. So thanks for doing that. Trying to bring something different to you guys here in the AM on a Wednesday, and we still have our afternoon show, the weekly update, 5 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday. We're set to do 2 shows on Wednesday each week. There's more shows in the development phase right now at Studio 10-4 Live. They're coming up. I've actually seen some of the I'll call them the one sheet, what they might be about, what they're going to look like, possible guests, that kind of thing. Topics. We've got some good ones out there that are looking to happen. Probably won't see them until after Mid-America Truck Show, but they are going to be happening. Cody, good morning. So first of all, let me get a sip of this going and kind of keep the juices flowing, because it's morning and we're not usually doing this thing like this in the morning. So get used to it. We're going to try to make it happen regularly and keep it going. A couple of things I want to bring up, and we'll bring them up too in the show. But and I didn't write it down, but there's 2 other shows that I want to mention. One of them, Arizona, and that's going to be Rod Pickett and NHRDA down there doing their thing end of this month. And second week in March in Las Vegas, and that's like right around the corner, and that's the Vegas Invitational. And Sherry and her group, all the proceeds going to children's charities, children's drag racing. I can't remember the name of the charity. Anyway, check it out, and it's Vegas Invitational. And it is happening, I think, second week of March. And she's doing that twice this year. So she's got the spring and the fall show in Las Vegas. For us, we got Mid-America coming up, and we have Trucking for Kids. And I want to just bring this up real quick, show you guys in the screen. We'll share this, and you can kind of get an idea what I'm looking at the same time. Mid-America is literally... and by the way, there's the layout right there: North Wing, East Hall, North Lobby, South Wing, all that. That's the setup. So where the West over here used to be and is no longer, they're all down here kind of doing their thing. And then, of course, PKY, Paul K. Young Championship, is out in front. We are 10-4 Magazine in the North Wing. Now, this used to be, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. This used to be our spot right here for many, many, many years. Samson, whoever they are, is going to be there. We are over here now. And we're going to be right there next to Lifetime, Nut Covers, Nikki and JR over there. Lincoln Chrome's up here, 4 State in the middle. And I think right here we got Valley Chrome, if I'm not mistaken. Valley Chrome is right here somewhere. Oh, that's crazy. I saw their name. What am I missing here? Interesting. Well, they had their name on a booth. Oh, right there. Sorry. So there we go. Valley Chrome down here. And for us at 10-4 Magazine, come by and check us out. Booth number 14269. Same size, just different location. I think that puts us a little further into the mix. The floor plan has changed and things have changed a little bit. So that's coming up pretty quick. I mean, Mid America, we're talking exact dates, and I had those on there March 26th, 7th, and 28th. So not that far off. And then the other show that's coming up, of course, and hope you guys like our new look over at 10-4 Magazine on the website. Up at the top, 10-4 Magazine, you click on there, it's going to take you back to the homepage. You click over here, it's going to take you where I want us to go right now. And then 10-4 Trucker Rodeo, of course. Hopefully over here, we're going to get our Studio 10-4 Live logo up as soon as we get that worked out and get this straightened out down here. But right now, Trucking for Kids is what I want to talk about because registration's open and I want to get you guys there, get you signed up, and make sure you're going to show up and join us and be there for our 45th annual Trucking for Kids in Bakersfield, California at the Famoso Drag Strip. Registration, as I said, is open. All you need to do is click there, get registered, and literally 81 days, 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 6 seconds. So how about that? Till Trucking for Kids. So get that handle, get yourselves registered. First 200 registrants are going to get the bonus buckets that are full of good stuff from the different vendors and sponsors that are at the show. And they will be filling them up with things that make your truck look good, smell good, feel good, run good, do good, all that kind of stuff. So get on over there, and you can go to 10-4magazine.com and hit the Trucking for Kids tab, like I showed you, or truckingforkids.org, whatever you feel like doing. I want to bring in Mr. Brandon Carpenter, the other half of the Testa Carpenter deal, the bar trailer guy. I like that.
What's going on, John?
Hey, it's another day in paradise, as we say. How about you?
Same here. Same here. It's actually warming up in Ohio, so we're finally coming out of the freezer, the deep freeze.
Well, you guys last week and the week before were just that whole side of the country was just pretty much in the ice.
It's brutal. It's been weeks at pretty much near zero, and that for here is unheard of. So it's been definitely been staying inside, and everyone has cabin fever, as we like to say. So
I bet.
Time to get outside and enjoy the weather.
I mean, what happens in that reality? You are in those kinds of temperatures in the climate. I mean, everything kind of changes, right? I mean, God, cost of living goes up. You can't get anywhere easily to get anything, so you have to have resupplied and been ready for it. If you weren't, you're screwed. But cost of energy, everything. I mean, what's that like? How much does that stuff go up? How do you stay warm?
Well, so it's not so much that it necessarily goes up. It's you start using things that you ordinarily wouldn't use. Like, for example, I know a lot of people around here, and it's one of the things, you're seeing a lot of it on the news, that there's a salt shortage. And not so much that there's a shortage of salt, it's just that there's a shortage of supply. So, where ordinarily people wouldn't salt their sidewalks, that type of thing, well, all of a sudden, everybody goes out and starts buying salt. So that's a cost that you're not used to. When it gets that cold, you start obviously using more propane, more
Yep.
firewood, whatever your heat source is. So you end up, it's maybe not that the costs are rising, it's just you end up consuming a lot more of it. That's one of the worst things about where it gets down that cold is, you just don't all you're doing pretty much is just you're in survival mode. You're just trying to stay warm, and everywhere you go, it seems like we always talk about the business we're in, painting. Painting, you can't hardly run your paint booth whenever it's that cold. It really takes some serious heat generation, to get everything going, and that's the worst part is everything kind of comes to a snail's pace.
Yeah. Well, and I know up here in the Pacific Northwest, the paint booth that we had was heated, and it was propane, and it was, a major. I mean, the painters were the best guy. The best job during the winter up here is to be a painter in the paint booth at a trailer manufacturer, because you're going to be the guy in the heated place. I mean,
Okay.
it's, yeah, it's
Yep.
that's it. That's the place to be at. But you guys, do you use mini splits, or what's the best and most efficient way to heat your stuff in? I mean, residential versus commercial. I mean, a big shop, it's a whole different deal. But what about the residential? Do you guys use mini splits? Is that a thing there?
Yeah, mini splits are very common around here. I would say honestly, one of the best heat sources that I've ever found in my whole shop and my house is set up this way is we got radiant floor heat. Basically a water boiler,
Yep.
and you circulate hot water through your concrete and your floor, or you can do it with your wood floor, however, but that seems to be the most efficient heat as far as an actual good heat source. It's always nice because you walk in those cold old shops where you get in there, and yeah, you might feel warm, to a certain extent, but your feet are freezing.
Right.
With radiant floor heat, you don't experience any of that. When the heat comes up from the floor, I always say you can lay down on the floor and take a nap and be completely comfortable. So
It's funny
it's
because
pretty.
you can do that in the winter or the summer. The floor's cold in the summer.
Yep.
That's a great place to be. And if it's warm in the winter, it's a great place to be.
Yes, yes, it's the best. That is the best heat source. Mini splits are good. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways, but I found that any type of forced air heat you always have that drafty feeling, I feel like, with forced air, where an actual radiant heat, it radiates to everything.
Yeah.
So if you walk into your cold, the heat's going to radiate to you. So it just seems like it's just a better heat in my opinion.
That's the fireplace, the wood burning stove is my favorite and best source of heat. I've always enjoyed that because it's radiant heat, it's clean, it doesn't throw air all over that's being sucked in that could be bad air coming in and whatnot.
Yep.
It's just it's a whole different and better way to go. Take a second just to say howdy to everybody that's commented so far, and those that haven't. If you're watching the show and you haven't commented, we know you're there because you're showing the numbers to me, but don't see who you are. So thanks for joining us, and feel free to comment and be a part of the conversation. At this moment right now, first of all, just kind of refresh everybody's memory. Where exactly are you at, Brandon, and what's your day to day, man? What do you do? Hey, Randy.
So I'm in Ashland, Ohio, which is halfway between Cleveland and Columbus, so just south of Lake Erie. I actually build custom show semis. Is pretty much what I do for a living these days, and currently running for political office. So kind of bouncing between those two worlds. But
Look out.
my main thing is building trucks, and I build everything from your normal everyday working truck to trailers to show trucks. Really anything. We're actually in full swing for mats, as you know. The race is on, as every
Yep.
year normally is. So
Yep.
we're trying to get them done.
Yeah, there's some guys I've been talking to that, I talked to them 2 months ago, and they're like, "Yeah, we won't be there." And now they're like, "Okay, man, we're going to get her done." It's okay. Okay, if you say so.
I say it's funny. I say every year. I say it every year. We're not going to race this year. We're not going to race this year. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and it never fails. I don't care. You could start 5 years, and you're still going to race to the end. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just how it is.
Well, I don't think it'd be the same otherwise. The shows
Yeah.
that used to be on TV, some of them are still around, I guess, but the ones that in their heyday, man, you had, all the hot rod shows and the Orange County Choppers, and Jesse James had his show, and everybody was, building the, stellar hot rod in what, 3 days, right? Okay, come
Yep.
on. Reality is that's really not reality, but they're
No.
making it look like it is.
Yeah. Well, and especially this day and age, because every year we just keep, the bar just keeps getting raised higher and higher. And any builder, I think we're all, if you're doing anything, you're always constantly trying to perfect your trade.
Yep.
And every year you try to get better and better, and
Yeah.
with getting better and better just means more and more time is what it means. So,
Well, the bar, like you said, the bar keeps getting raised on what's showing up at the show every year, at
yeah.
every show. I mean, and we, like other uh, institutions out there, and now there's some other shows though that in fact already have happened this year. But the biggest show of the year if not one of the biggest shows of the year, is pretty much the first primary show of the year, and that's Mid America in Louisville, Kentucky, coming up. And then after that, everybody just kind of scatters and goes to wherever they're at and gets more localized. There's still some traveling going on, but there's some big shows across country that people have some choices to be at, and we hope that we see them out on the West Coast. Jamie's out there watching. Thanks, Jamie, for tuning in. Randy, good to have you on the show. Cody, good to have you on the show. Tiffany, afternoon, yeah, somewhere, depending on where you're at, it is. So also, Brandon, of note too is that you bring the bar to the show, man, and that'll be at Mid America again this year, and that's your iron bar trailer that has been converted and turned into kind of a honky tonk trailer on wheels. So we look forward to hanging out with you there.
Yeah. I'll tell you, we got. I don't think it's going to happen at this point, but sometime in the 2026 show season here, we're going to be putting an addition on the bar trailer, and there's probably going to end up being a whole nother edition. So there will be two of them more than likely. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but I'm gonna really, that's my big thing for this year, is I'm gonna try to get that done so we can provide some more entertainment to the folks, because it's, as you know, it's getting packed in there. We're
Yep.
running out of room.
Last year, the trailer inside was packed, and so was the parking lot on the outside there. I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
I accidentally, we accidentally threw the largest parking lot party I think that Louisville's ever seen, and it wasn't intentional, and that was just a weird thing that happened.
Word got out, man. Word got out. Billy Joe, what's going on? And by the way, everybody, this is the morning drive with Testa and Carpenter, and soon to be our memory guy. And I want to bring him out right now and let him kind of introduce himself. Matt Carey. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm trying to remember why I'm here.
Well, yeah, that's your job. That's your job. You're the memory guy. Yeah. So our goal is to have you keep our heads on straight and keep us on track. But Brandon brought you into this thing, and here you are, your first morning, and your debut. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and kind of a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Matt Carey. I'm hail from Southern Ohio. We family from Round County, Kentucky, but I'm retired, been retired about 3 years. I was a career firefighter, paramedic, retired as a fire chief. So I've been retired, be 3 years in January, and I'm in North Central Ohio now. And let's see, biggest thing with me was I had a post-heart transplant 5 years this year. So that's what caused my early retirement from the fire department. So known Brandon since his mom was wiping his butt, and which was just yesterday. So I just met him yesterday, but here we are.
I scrub my eyes on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
You said you wouldn't tell anybody, Matt.
Yeah. Pretty much that's the quick and skinny of it, I suppose.
Well, I also, kind of checked you out on social media there after we connected, and you got a nice looking family there, and I know you've had some tragedy in your life, and you've endured it, and your family's come through on the other end. The heart transplant, that's no joke, man. I have another friend of mine who's a firefighter, EMT guy, younger, in his 30s, and he had a heart transplant. It was a hereditary thing, and came out the other side, man. He's, right as rain, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. We run a nonprofit also, as you mentioned, and we do some legislation stuff that we've been working on and things like that for seat belts and organ donation and stuff. So it's a little bit of our other stuff. Yep.
I mean, we can, save everybody the vague book mystery. You lost your daughter to an automobile accident, and if you want to talk about that and let us know what happened, or just that it happened, and the nonprofit that you developed after that, go ahead.
Yeah, so we run a nonprofit called Abby's Echo, ABBIS Echo, ECHO. It's named after her hunting dog, actually. She did a lot of coon hunting, so we have Echo still. So Abby's Echo is named in her honor. It'll be 3 years this year. Her and her brother were out. They were coming back from fishing. and they had a mechanical issue. She did not have her seatbelt on. The Jeep went off the road. They hit a culvert. She was ejected out of the vehicle, and the Jeep came down and landed on her. It actually happened in the fire district I retired from. So, the people that responded know my kids. So it was a pretty traumatic event for a lot of people involved. I had just freshly retired, so I still had all the notification stuff coming to my phone. I had it all. I wasn't close by. My wife beat everybody there. My wife's a nurse. And so we went through all that stuff. And the accident happened on the 18th, and she fought pretty hard and passed on the 25th. So our nonprofit deals with seatbelt safety and organ donation. Not only am I a recipient of a heart transplant, my daughter also, knowing what I went through, that's what she wanted to do that stuff. And it was very important to her to get that on her license. So we went ahead and did that. And so we've been speaking with her, the person that received her lungs, actually. We haven't met her yet, but we have had conversations. So, but she was able to donate 4 different things to save some people's lives. So that's kind of the background.
I guess the best scenario of a very devastating scenario, the outcome of it, obviously, and sorry about your loss and to your family. It's never supposed to go that way. So,
yeah. Parents aren't supposed to bury kids. That's for sure.
No, yeah. Negative. Good morning, Jeff and Eddie. And we have somebody here. Eddie's in England, man. Well, good. I don't know. Good evening or whatever it is. They're telling us.
We're getting out there in the world.
We're getting out. Hey, man, this radio's got some reach.
Bouncing off the English Channel over into England.
Yeah, we are. We got some skip happening in the morning on the morning drive. Everybody, too, bear with us as we do this inaugural with the 3 of us. We're going to be doing some things to try to figure out how we can make this all work, because Matt may not be visually there throughout the entire show, but audible and as a part of it. So we might be moving him in and out. Just know that he's still there and a part of the show throughout the whole thing. So let's back it up a little bit, man. Some things I wanted to put it out there too. I don't know how many of y'all have been getting assassinated by Windows updates with your computers. If you have a PC, you might be. Personally, myself, I've had updates turned off. I have to go back in and shut them off I don't know if it's every other month or what it is, but I have had them shut off for over 2 years now, because I have a wireless card that's outdated and will not work with the Windows update. Once the Windows update comes in, it kills it. So there's some tricks out there and things you can do to extend the life of your PC. The easy one for me would be just get a new card and put it in there, and that'd probably take care of it. But Windows has been tripping over their own selves trying to sustain the updates, and they've actually backed some of them out because there was so many problems. So if you guys are having problems out there with your PCs and not so much phones anymore, because I don't think there's any Windows phones anymore. I think that they figured out that was not a good idea, and they got those off the table. But just turn the updates off and don't do anything until you get yourself straightened out to where either the Windows updates have gotten themselves fixed, or your hardware on your computer can accept them and still work. In my case, hardware on my computer does not, and that's the thing. So and again, my always my message out there, man, be safe online, because there's so much crap going on. I talked to another good friend who's also a manufacturer out there in our world, and they were telling me how they got hacked. And hacked, everybody throws that out as kind of the cover. I got hacked. Something happened to my social media or whatever. Well, what happened? Did you get cloned? Did somebody actually figure out your password, which is pretty unlikely unless you got a really weak password. But the likelihood of being password infiltrated can happen. It does, but it's more likely you were cloned. And this is my tidbit for the day. it's not just being hacked or cloned anymore. It's not somebody stealing your identity and just stealing your photo and posting looking like they are you, and for whatever reason, and you're all, why do people do that? Well, here's why. They're getting paid. They've created an identity out there using yours, and it's another look at an identity and the celebrity that identity may have already created, and the money that they're generating. Now they've created another profile that's creating money. Basically, you're hauling freight for them, and they're getting paid for your freight, and you're getting nothing out of it. If you guys want any more information on any of this kind of stuff, contact me offline. I can help you out. All right. What did we have happen this weekend? We had the Super Bowl, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about the halftime. I want to talk about the commercials. The commercials are easy, man. But I want to talk about those three things. I want to talk about the most pertinent thing to what is going on in our world, and that's what the EPA announced, I think, about 2 weeks ago. We can all chime in on this. And that is the rethink on death. And Brandon and Matt, both, and I, all three of us talked about it yesterday. Brandon, go ahead. You kind of chimed in a little bit on it. Let's start off with you. Let everybody know what's going on with the death and the systems and the fluid.
So basically, from what I'm reading online, and it's like everything else, anything to do with the government, you got to try to decipher it all. So, and unfortunately, with my political stuff I have going on, I haven't been able to dig real deep into deciphering it. But from the looks of it, it looks like we are rolling back our EPA regulations to basically pre-Obama era, which is going to be really interesting because that means, from the looks of it, we're going to be going back to the era of C-15s and 60 series Detroits from the EPA, as far as the EPA is concerned. I'm really interested, though.
Still in manufacture at that point too, though. Cats were still manufacturing Class 8 engines, weren't they?
Yep, exactly. So is this going to be Cat's triumphant return back to the truck market? This could be front page news, here in a few months. But what I'm really interested in reading some of this stuff is what's the fallout for the people who were charged. Just a prime example. I don't know. Did you hear the story about Diesel Brothers getting? I think it was over $850,000 worth of fines for all the deletes they did.
What Diesel Brothers they were just one. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just in court, I want to say in October. It wasn't all that long ago. So, how did we go from October, you are in violation, we're fining you, and you're in all this trouble and remember there was a mechanic, I want to say too, in Colorado that actually got jail time. And do you remember that? I think he spent like 6 months in jail or something like that. And that was the same thing. It wasn't all that.
This is where our memory guy's supposed to be keying in on us.
Yeah, so I've already looked into some of this. So, a couple things. One, what's really going on? What you're saying is true, but the EPA is doing a lot of fighting back.
Right.
That's what I'm reading about. I mean, they're talking about the EPA came back and said, "Hey, you need to go out." They want people to give them information. You keep saying this is tearing things up, this is destroying things, it's shorting your lives. All that. Yep. They're fighting it. They're not. Yes, they're wanting to roll stuff back, but nothing's been necessarily taken off the table. They're doing everything they can to say, "Hey, okay, you're saying that it's gonna make the life of the engine shorter. Show me the details." Now, I am reading where they're talking about, like you were talking about, are they going to go after people? They're still saying it's illegal to delete it. Now, supposedly, the Trump administration, certain people are saying they're not going to prosecute people.
Yeah, enforcement's being taken out. Yeah, right.
But supposedly, but I mean, it's like the gun laws. It changes every 3 minutes. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, the EPA, they're still on their high horse. They, as far as they're concerned, it's still business as usual. And, we kind of talked about that a little bit on the fire department side. I'm retired, but my one brother is a career fire chief still, and they're working on trucks, and it's affecting them.
Yep.
And so it's ridiculous. I mean, everybody thinks that the the emissions create soot that create cancer, but it only happens in California. I don't know, but
yeah. It's,
You
it
know,
mixes with the West Coast atmosphere. It's a California thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that here in Ohio.
Yeah, no.
They're using systems. We got all these grants over the years to pull fumes and exhaust stuff out of the fire stations,
Yep.
And now they're wanting to put more emission stuff on these fire trucks. And why that, matters to everybody that might be listening is you're paying those taxes. You're paying for that equipment. You're paying for those things. When a cookie cutter fire engine goes from $500,000-$600,000 over $1 million now, you're paying for it.
Yep.
And we're waiting 3, 4, 5 years to get these things. And the manufacturers are trying to shove all this stuff down our throats. It's crazy.
And that goes to what we were talking about yesterday. I want to tell you, hey, Eddie, go to eBay, man, if you're looking for that, because eBay is definitely a place. Or Brandon, you got any bulldogs lying around for sale?
What's he looking for?
Mac Bulldog.
Just the hood emblem?
Yeah.
I probably got a couple of them.
Yeah. See, get a hold of Brandon too, maybe, and that'll solve it.
Message me on Facebook.
And here's the other thing, Eddie. Do you want the chrome or the gold? Because there's two different ones. You got chrome is significant if it's a vendor truck. It's not OEM. So if you got a gold dog, it's all Mac. Everything bumper to bumper. I don't know how many people know that, but that's what the significance of that is. I want to back up for a second too, like we were saying about trucks, ordering trucks 3 years out, whatever. Where I used to live in Folsom, they were just broadcasting that they were just awarded a build for next year from American LaFrance, which is one of the huge, big manufacturers of fire engines and ladder trucks, all that. And that kind of should be the wake up call right there. You were awarded a build. It's not call up, hey, I need a truck. It's hi, this is America LaFrance. Let us get back to you because we don't know if we'll have one available for you or not. That's the reality of it. And for a while there, it was like that with the Class 8 trucks too. I mean, there was only so many being built. I mean, during COVID, it was a disaster, but I don't think that's the problem anymore. So, where it's at.
Thing, you could go on for hours for that. I mean, every time you come up with a problem, COVID's the reason. That's what you get told.
Yeah.
When you're making a complaint, I'm going to complain about something to a manufacturer. Oh, COVID this or COVID that. But at the end of the day, so they're talking about fire trucks. They've got all these idle emission things that they're worried about now. What the EPA is saying is some trucks they're going to say fire trucks, emergency vehicles, they're not going to make them go into limp mode, maybe.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm reading about it. That's programming issues. What do you do stuff before that? I'm just going to be honest with you. There's a lot of agencies out there that I know in the past, they've just taken the stuff off because they've got to the point where they're just like, I guess we'll fight it out. If the government wants to come after your local fire department, then let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is the age-old problem, guys. When the government gets involved, what happens? And that's a lot of what we're seeing here. One, I see, the whole issue what you were saying, Matt, about grants. And there's a lot of truth to that, and I was in a meeting last night and we were talking about grants, and a lot of people have the attitude, well, it's a grant, we should get a grant. And, fire departments are searching for grants all the time. And I don't blame them because it's free money. But at the end of the day, that money still comes from the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And then the problem now the problem we have is, okay, so you get these grants. Well, it's always, well, we got a grant to buy this. But before, like you said, a fire truck was $500,000. Now they're over $1 million and they're just steadily climbing. And it's a manufactured crisis also to a certain extent, that when you go to the government, you lobby for these things, and then you take your production to a snail's pace and all the, everything that's going on, and then you control the market. You have the government in your back pocket where you get to control things. And then not only that, but the money you're getting is from the government as well, from the community that's paying the taxpayer dollars. And meanwhile, we're the ones who are the ones suffering. It just it's the age old governmental problem that there's too many hands in the cookie jar here.
Yeah, it's always follow the money to find out what's really going on and what's happening. And years ago, when I was still living in California, this is going back to like 2006, 7, 8, in that era. I used to go to the the CARB meetings in Sacramento, California Air Resource Board, which is the model that a lot of the country claims to want to model themselves after. Is whatever CARB's doing, that must be the way to be. You know, California is so cutting edge. Well, pay attention, folks. If you're following that model, you're going to follow it right down the hole into the drain, like they've been doing to themselves. But my conversation with these legislators in those meetings, the first time in, I asked them, I said, what do you, any of you, and this is the entire board that was sitting in there, 5 people, whatever it was, what do you know about Class 8 trucks and motors? What do you know about any of this? Nothing. Well, what qualifies you to legislate it? Well, we rely on people that do know. And you're just going by whatever somebody comes in that you paid to tell you something, which in other words means what you want to hear, and whatever your constituents or whoever it is paying you to be there, it's what you're all about. It's not what we're all about. We're here to make a living, and you guys are taking that from us.
It's what's being funneled to them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's whoever's in the background funneling what information to them, what happens. And 9 times out of 10, it's bad information.
Bad information. Exactly. And I asked, I said, are any of you engineers? No. Are you any of you, have you ever built a motor, driven a truck, rode in any of that? I mean, literally, this is a live conversation I'm having with these guys. And it's no. So none of you can check the box that you know a damn thing about truck and engines, any of this industry. You're just here as legislators and telling us what to do, and you don't know shit about it.
And that's the problem with legislation, and that's the problem with something going on. It's supposed to be, and a lot of times, depending on where you're elected at, it's a full-time job. Even if it's not, even if you're in a small place, people elected you there for a reason. There's money. You need to put time and effort into it, and a lot of places aren't. There's places, I mean, I could go on and on where they show up for their 1 or 2 meetings a month. They want to get their paycheck. They get paid. They get their benefit from their insurance, and they move on, and they just make decisions and sign paperwork, and they don't look into stuff. And that's why things keep on getting worse and worse.
I think you're nailing it right there, Matt. I want to tell everybody over on Instagram, I'm looking at the feed, and it's obvious to me that it from what I'm seeing, our feed to Instagram, you're seeing not a very favorable view of us. So come on over to Facebook or YouTube or X and check us out on either of them, any of them, and you'll get a much better look at us here. The audio is probably fine over there on Instagram, but the video, they haven't got that figured out yet. So we'll still keep the feed going, and we'll revisit that and rethink that. As far as, you know, this whole deal on the deleting and deaf and what's going on, I think what we all have gotten so far from this is that the enforcement's going to back off a little bit. Legislation is yet to change, but they're working on it. And if it does, then I mean, for CAT to come back, which is, I'd love to see a yellow engine under a hood again, there'd have to be some serious concessions to them to reinvest in the Class 8 market in the United States, I would think.
I would think so too. You know, they're not gonna come back unless they've got some serious skin in the game, you know, that they're gonna be able to compete and survive in this market, you know. And it's hopeful, you know. You naturally look at this stuff and you hope it's going to happen, but you know, we'll see. Time will tell. But these, you know, and that's what Matt was saying too, you know, is Trump comes out with something, you know, his administration comes out with something, and it gives you that little bit of glimmer of hope. And then you realize a couple weeks later, whenever the organizations that he's trying to change again drain the swamp, the organizations he's trying to change, fight him on it. And you realize they've got all these climate activists and people like that I'm sure are working for the EPA, and they don't want to see it go through. And I say this over and over again. Do you think that the Indians' campfires melted the glaciers that used to exist in Ohio? At one time, Ohio was covered by ice. I don't think the Indians' campfires did that. It's normal. Climate change is a completely normal thing.
No, it was the campfires.
If you're in California, it was campfires. But I mean, so I'm looking on the cat stuff, and like you were asking, I mean, the question to answer, and they're saying supposedly as of early 26, the representatives have stated they have no plans to re-enter because of their stuff is still still too heavily regulated.
Yeah, just too volatile. You don't put billions of dollars put yourself back into the market that you might be booted out again in 4 years or whatever, and not even have a shot at it. I mean, Cat tried everything to comply. They even started building trucks, and I thought they had some of the coolest vocational truck chassis out there on the market, but it didn't work out. And they were smart. They just said, screw it. You know what? We're just going to continue to do what we do, just not here. And we'll do it where it's okay to do it, and build engines that work and perform, and it just won't be in America, which is just an absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
To force
it's sad, it's so sad. When are we going to stop shooting ourselves in the foot? Every time we turn around, it's like you're just walking around with a 6-shooter just constantly just blowing holes in your feet. And it's like, when are we going to learn a lesson here?
Like I said, follow the money. I guarantee you that, all these people that are out there barking for the EPA or for any of these other organizations out there, anytime that there's a legislation change, which there's been many in the last year, a lot of folks lost their jobs. I'm sorry, but maybe you were banging the wrong drum.
But you mentioned the EPA, so it goes back to it. So as my former career when I was a fire chief, we dealt with the EPA on other issues, and it kills me. We're talking about how they're worried about the trucking industry and driving and everything. I've reached out to the EPA for stuff, little things. I guess they would consider, the guy burning tires and trash in their swimming pool in the backyard. They'll go out there and they yell at them, but they're not doing anything. That's what kills me. When you've got something that you think is like a legit issue, they're not worried about it, but they're going to be worried about if you took the system off of your Ford truck sitting out in the driveway. Yeah. And they're going to go after you for that. But they don't worry about it, because like you said, you got to follow the money. There's no money. Yeah, there's no money in going after the homeowner, which whatever. But it is irritating because it is selective. And it's a big industry to deal with the truckers, I guess.
When I was growing up, and I was born and raised in California, and growing up, we had an incinerator trash can that you could buy at any hardware store in our backyard. And you throw whatever in there and burn it. Nowadays, holy crap, people lose a freaking, brain cell coming unglued, seeing smoke come out of your backyard, man. And
I got one of those. It's called a burn barrel. It's in my backyard here.
Yeah. Well, so the incinerator cans that my dad used to buy, it was a trash can that had holes poked in it. Yeah. And that was, for whatever reason, that's how they did it. It's funny is when I lived in Folsom, I had a place down along a creek side. In fact, that was the name of the nickname of my place was the creek side, but up above on the ridge was apartments. And I knew people that lived up there, and they'd call them and they're like, "Hey, what are you smoking, man?" And I'd brisket or whatever, I got pulled pork or whatever. I got shoulders going, people call me up and they could smell it up there. Right. And I had a fire pit at my place too. And I never got in any trouble, but there, in Sacramento County and in that area, which is, that same as a lot of others, there's burn days, non-burn days, period. You can't have a fire in your fireplace. It's like, how in the hell, man? I need heat to keep my place warm. I'm going to have a fire. The fire police going to come in, You
said it exactly. And that's how I used to say all the time. I'm not the fire police. I don't want to, I'm not going to run around. We're not driving around looking for that stuff.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. That you're 100%. Ohio has certain things. So the Division of Forestry has decided different times of the year you're not supposed to burn till after certain hours and things like that. And that's always created a lot of problems with people because they don't understand because of the winds and the leaves and stuff. It means whatever. Supposedly, the data that they've put out states that it's reduced field fires and things like that. It seems like we still had a whole lot of them. We still do, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if it's just data to try to justify their job and what they're doing, but sometimes I that's what it seems like, honestly. I think there's too much overreach in a lot of things, and it goes right back to what we're talking about with this. I think it's they just overreach. There's just way too much overreach all the way through it.
Well, I think somebody's trying to justify the fact that they're drawing a check on a lot of these things, for whatever it is they're doing, and nobody really knows, and they show up and screw with you in 10 different ways that nobody really asked for. It just happens that way. Take a minute just to let everybody know, you got Brandon Carpenter up here today with us, and we will have every Wednesday, and Matt Carey with us as well. This is the Testa Carpenter morning drive here on Studio 10-4 Live. And we're kind of talking a little bit about some different subjects here. Some of it has to do with trucking. Some of it doesn't. It'll always be that way. This is our open forum, and we're kind of leaving it that way to be able to talk about whatever else the hell that we want to talk about. Rob, what's going on in there? And we got Trey coming in, Trey Casey Painter, saying, good morning, Mr. Carpenter. So he must know you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. Hopefully he's doing good.
I want to move on. We got some other subjects to cover this morning. One of the the big ones, the big elephant in the room, and for me anyways, was this weekend and the Super Bowl, and it's I don't know, was it anti Super Bowl show? It was an alternative Super Bowl halftime program. I particularly I watched it. I'm a rock and roll guy, so I don't speak Spanish. I speak enough of it that I know I don't understand what somebody singing like the performer during the halftime show for the NFL was doing. I wouldn't have caught a word of it. I did, however, go back and find out what he was singing about.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother conversation. But
right.
I just want to say, there's some people out there that have had some definite opinions on both sides of this thing. And I want to say listen, I don't think there's any middle ground here. I just don't. It's you're either one way or the other, and that's it. There is no middle ground. You can't, it's not peace, love, and tie-dye at halftime. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Okay. On the other hand, the other show, that was a bit of a story. Really was. And it caught everybody at our gathering off guard, like, what just happened? And what I'm referring to is Kid Rock came out, but Rob Ritchie left. And if you didn't see it, it was, here's where I was, here's where I'm at. And not that he's going to stop being Kid Rock, because that ain't happening, but Robert Ritchie, is that right? That's his name, right? Kid Rock, that's his real name. So
yeah. Yep, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Came out with an acoustic version of basically a gospel rooted song. And it, like I said, caught all of us off guard. The other part about this too, the whole lip sync thing, I was talking to my group saying, it does my heart good to see that other people in this size of a format have issues, because they did. Their audio did not link up with their video. It was a pre-recorded video, and they screwed up. Bottom line, they screwed up. So it looked out of sync. It's because it was out of sync. That being said, while we were watching it, there were 6 million other people watching it with us. That, my friends, in the streaming world is humongous, okay? That is a percentage that everybody has to look at and go, okay, this is real. Definitely real. And I think, that powers to be, listen, not every show at the NFL halftime is going to be Aerosmith, Prince, and Michael Jackson, or whoever. Okay, pick your favorite one that you had. It's just not going to be that way. But maybe we can get closer back to who we're actually playing for. So you guys take it from there.
Robert James Ritchie, if that's what you're worried about. That's where they're all. That's what I'm saying everywhere. But yeah,
okay. Yeah. So
I would say that one, because I did, like I told you, I'm not a football guy. I'm a truck guy. I could care less about football. Everybody always asks me watching the game. I don't even know who's playing. I could care less. I'm a truck guy. I'm worried about the trucking industry. But I will say this: I did watch Robert Ritchie's halftime show, or Turning Point's halftime show.
Yeah, Turning Point.
And Yep, and I will say that was a great performance. That it really told a story, and it was very cool the way they did do that. That I think they did a wonderful job with it, and the whole thing with Bad Bunny, it's like I keep talking. I don't know who the heck Bad Bunny is. Didn't ever hear of Bad Bunny. That's a whole new name to me. Again, I don't really keep up with what's going on in the world as far as famous people or whatever. But when did we stop being pro-American? That's the question. When did we stop celebrating who we are? And I think it's really interesting. We're on the 250th anniversary of this country, and we are at the point of we should be celebrating that this year. 2026 is a year to celebrate our heritage, and instead we're doing the exact opposite on the national level. Why? Where the core group of Americans, I don't believe, are anti-American like that. And I don't think that there's nothing wrong with being inclusive in sharing other cultures, but there's certain times that we need to be pro-Americans. And that's one of them.
Yeah. Well, again, I'll have to, kind of go to some of my other people in my world that are saying follow the money at the NFL and what they're doing, and I get it. They're expanding. They want to be inclusive. Okay, what does that really mean? Means they want to get paid from continent to continent. And I mean, that's what they're going to do. Matt looks like he's got something to throw in here.
Well, yeah, a couple things. One, I don't know. So I saw some of the views. So you're talking about the money, the people that paid all the money to go sit in the stadium, they couldn't see it because they had all that sugar cane and all that stuff. So they couldn't see anything. So I mean, if there's some controversy, I'd be kind of ticked about that. Number one. Number two, I don't know 100%. Because I don't know Spanish like that. I know Spanish, but not the right Spanish. But, supposedly the lyrics were pretty graphic. That's what kills me. We get on here and we talk about values and, this person's that, or that political person's this, or this political person 14 years ago did this, that, the other. But yet you got a guy up here in a different language talking a bunch of smut. But that's okay. That's cool.
I can frame it so that we don't get pornographic about it. But first of all, anybody wants to know what the song was about, go ahead and Google it. Essentially, it was about his conquest of women and how he did it. And I mean, graphically, that's the song. So it literally is it's a sex story to music. And I love sex. Don't get me wrong, man. But at a family show, that's not what's supposed to be going on, man. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't understand. And, you hear all these things wherever you are politically. I mean, whatever, I mean, you don't want that. You don't want your 14-year-old kid at a, listening to that anyways in English. So why is it okay to listen to it in Spanish?
So I was just going to say, here's the thing. I guess it doesn't matter because it was in a language that unless you speak Spanish, you don't know what the guy's talking about. Okay. But I'm going to back up a second. I don't care, 8-year-old or whatever. I guarantee you that 8-year-old's got a phone and a Google Translator app open. And he's like, okay, this is what they're saying. Oh my gosh, Mom, Dad, did you guys know, by the way?
Yep. The other thing too is, did you guys see? Because I've seen some video footage in days, now that days have passed of that, and there was kids in his performance.
Oh yeah.
So not only are you broadcasting it to the public, but you're
Yeah.
using children in that performance.
Yeah.
It's no different than, we have a big controversy here, that we're starting to see drag shows pop up, and it's people are taking kids to these drag shows, and all this
Well, you are
crazy
in
stuff.
Ohio. You're a little slow
Yeah.
there, buddy.
Yeah.
but like these things are happening, and now
Yeah.
we're trying to indoctrinate our children, and we're trying to educate them that this is acceptable behavior and this is
Well,
fine.
yeah.
And what always gets me is the people who are doing it have a romantic notion of what they feel is safety and what this country should be, and that we should be inclusive to everybody. You should harm other people and you should be good to people, but all they're doing is they are promoting the culture that they don't want.
Well,
That's
it's the same
exactly what
argument.
they're doing.
It's the same argument that it's ever been. It's because that's what you feel and believe doesn't mean I have to agree, and that goes both ways.
Exactly.
It does, but don't put it in a place where you're forcing it on kids.
Yep.
I mean, it don't put it in a place where your kids are just taking it as gospel because they have been taught to respect their elders and do whatever their
Yep.
elders and their teacher and so on says, with whatever guidelines you might have at home being contradicted. And that's where it crosses the line. America, I'm going to bring up Kelly here and her comment. In fact, I should have brought the comments earlier, but America was built on Christian Judeo values, and the culture now is completely opposite. If you can't see that, you're part of the problem. It's not fine. So I happen to agree that my value set doesn't fall in line with what it is that might be being portrayed over here on the other side. And especially when it's telling my kids it's okay to do things that I don't agree with. Don't do that. And I don't want it in my face either, honestly. So, and listen, I'm not a homophobe. I there's no getting around it. There's that culture in the world, but it's a very small percentage of it, and it shouldn't be what takes over the world. Let's face it, if it wasn't for heterosexuals, there wouldn't be any homosexuals because there'd be no children. You got to have heterosexuals to have kids, period. So
yeah, I mean, I don't care what, none of that matters. I guess what concerns me is their concern, the how it's being shoved down, whatever it is being shoved down a kid's throat at an early age.
That's it.
My wife and I had this conversation. Her sister's kids go to a larger public school, and there was a time frame where they all thought that they had all these alternative things. She's got 4 kids in the school system, and they all have this different thing going on. And now that they're older and stuff, like they weren't. And it's like, well, why were you acting this way? Or why did you have this? Well, it was always in our face, or we thought that's normal, or that was how you should be. It's just, I let kids figure it out and do their thing, and don't, you shouldn't be saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how it is. They need to figure that out for themselves. And they're not letting them do that stuff.
Well, so I mean, I'm not sure if I'm quite here and you're right or not, but correct me if I am or if I am not. But in my experience with the last generation or so of parenting, they let little Johnny figure it out. Let little Johnny be little Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're the parent. You're supposed to show, teach, and give him the rules of the road. Okay, I'm just putting it out there in a pretty generic way.
But what Kelly's saying right there, we homeschooled all of our kids. So I homeschooled my kids before it was cool, which was COVID. And when I say we homeschooled our kids. We had our own curriculum. We did our stuff. It wasn't like we sat our kid in front of a computer. Yeah, we were active in it. We did that kind of stuff. I'm just going to be point blank with you on that. You just said it. At the end of the day, that's the problem with a lot of the system. Let's don't even talk about the alternatives or your sexuality. Parents don't. when COVID was going on and your kid was home and everything, everybody was all upset about it. And everybody's like, because the school system babysits your kid. Maybe you ought to spend more time with your kids. Maybe you ought to do more things. We homeschooled our kids. So, and we did it for a reason. And I'm so happy we did it. I mean, our kids are doing well. They're adults now. They're doing well out there in the system. And if we go back and look at my kids' friends that stayed in the public school system and stuff, and where they're at now, and where my kids are, it's a night and day difference. Night and day difference.
I think
not only what they're doing, but how they're living and how they don't understand things. I
think that there's a lot of discussion that we can. More we can have on this, and I think we're going to cap it right now. I want to say thanks to everybody over on Instagram. There's comments and conversation going on over there too. So thanks, guys, appreciate it. Listen, everybody has the right to be themselves. That's freedom of this country, and do what they want to do. I draw the line at imposing that you don't have to convince me that you're right. And I'm saying that to either side. I have my own testimony. I have my own beliefs, my own thoughts and processes. I'd like to think that I had good parenting and they gave me some ideas on how to do things, raise kids, and live in this world to a good way and be respectful of others, which is what we should be. Where it's gone off the tracks here is that the opposing side, whichever one you're on, is trying to cram whatever down your throat. I do see it objectively as one side is much more adverse and reactionary and angry than the other. And, don't have to be that way, man. Share your view, your point, and whatever it is you got to say. And if I don't agree, let's agree to disagree. That's right there is it. Let's agree to disagree.
I think that's another big problem too, John, is anymore. And I notice this a lot, especially in the political stuff that I'm dealing with. People can't have constructive arguments this day and age and walk away from a constructive argument, disagreeing with each other, and still shake hands and be cordial to each other after it's all over with. And I think that's one of the big issues that has changed too, just in people's mindsets, is now if you oppose somebody and they don't like you, it's a constant campaign to silence you.
Yeah, you're the enemy. You're the enemy now.
Yeah, you're the sworn enemy, and I think that's where we've fallen off the wagon a lot, is people can't argue anymore. And that's one of the things that drives me nuts, because as there's times I argue a lot about things, but at the end of the day, I can walk away from the conversation. And if I see you out on the street, I'll say hello, I'll shake your hand, you're not a sworn enemy just because we disagree. And that's where a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, the age of the keyboard warrior and being able to just, shut an app off and walk away like, F you, I don't have to talk to you and I don't have to listen to you. And then you just, throw the garbage out there for everybody to listen and see if they choose to do so is there. Yeah. The constructive argument, the constructive criticism. Listen, some of the best friends I've had through life, we got in fist fights when we were kids.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry. That's how it was. And at the end of the fight, it was like, dude, you kicked my ass or whatever, and helped the other guy up. And we got up and walked away. I mean, sometimes we were pissed at each other and it took a day or so, whatever. But you know what? Everybody got over it and realized we're here, man, and we're going to be here. And we're in the same community, same everything. So let's figure our stupid shit out and, get our trains back on the track here, because we can do more together than against each other. So let's work it out. And we did.
Yeah,
we did. So that's the way it is. Commercials. Brandon, favorite one. Did you see one yet? Did you go back and look at any of them?
The Budweiser one for sure. That was my favorite. Obviously, that was a great one. Love that commercial. Yep.
Matt,
pretty cool.
I saw different people. I didn't watch that, but I think the one that resonated me that I saw was that kid running around with the get up of Darth Vader trying to get everything to move and stuff. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah, he's running around. He was like trying to get he's like in this costume and he's running around and he's like trying to get the dog to do stuff or whatever. And he goes out. His dad comes home. He goes out and he's out there trying to get the car to start. And his dad uses a car starter thing to start it. And so he thought, it's like some 4-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that resonated with me because it sounded like something that would have happened in my life. So I think it was funny. A BMW commercial or something like that, maybe, or something. But
I did not see that one, man. I saw a few of the other ones though, and Brandon, I'm with you. The Budweiser commercial. I mean, you can't go wrong with Skinner and Freebird. And I'll tell you what, whoever produced that commercial and created the concept and put it together, holy crap, dude! When that eagle took off of that horse's back and flew, man. I mean, it was spot on. Way to go, Budweiser. Hey, welcome back, buddy.
Yeah. Welcome back, Budweiser. Exactly. Pro-American.
Oh my gosh. What a turnaround from debacle.
I know you're talking about now. I didn't realize I've seen it. I didn't realize that they played that during then.
Oh yeah. The Leonard Skinner, Freebird, and it was all about, Budweiser, American beer, and which ironically Budweiser, by the way, is not owned by an American beer brewery anymore. No. They were bought by Beck's in Germany, I believe, right?
Yep.
Remember, you guys should verify that.
Yep.
Yeah. And what do you say? Well, I guess they figured they better let their American breweries be American breweries and leave that alone, because whatever they're doing and thinking in Germany ain't working over here. Well, it's not a bad choice.
Well, have you heard too that a lot of the distilleries, the bourbon distilleries, are closed in like on a winter break or whatever, because nobody's drinking, I guess, and there's an oversupply of bourbon and whiskey. So that's a sad day for America. I don't think we're doing our part, John. We're gonna pick it up a little bit. So.
Well, I've switched to tequila years ago, but yeah, I get it. So there's a lot of choices out there, and here's the other thing. I mean, in this country, people defending the whole Super Bowl attitude and the halftime attitude, people are afraid of change and people, don't want to see things. You know what? I don't want to see America not be America. Okay. So if that's change, I'm not afraid of it. I just think it sucks. I want to be an American. I'm in this country. I'm very patriotic. I love my country. So, what happened to our culture? It has changed in ways that a lot of businesses are suffering because of it. From restaurants going out of business that have been in business for years and years and years and years and years. They're going out of business because people are not going out anymore. But they do have their, different delivery apps that they support and that bring food in so they can order whatever. As far as bars go, I mean, damn it, it's expensive to go to the bar. Okay. I mean,
So to go back to you real quick, look up. I was looking. The Anheuser-Busch it's a Belgian Brazilian, and the Beck's was bought by them. They're all together.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and the only apparently I didn't know this, but the only West Coast Budweiser brewery, Fairfield, California, is shutting down.
Oh.
Yeah, I see.
We have one here in Ohio, in Columbus.
I think yours is going to be the one that stays, but one out, the California one in Fairfield, that's going. They're shutting that down. It's been there for years. And then there's another one down by Irwindale, California, not a Budweiser brew, Miller, and it's the West Coast where they brew Miller, Pabst Blue Ribbon, a bunch of they're I forget what you call them, brewery, but they brew many different beers. And same thing up in Washington. There's another one of them as well that they brew many different labels at one brewery, and they're still in business. But California, man, I mean, I think we said this an hour ago, they can't stop shooting themselves in the foot. They just continuously are doing stupid shit that ends up costing them. And this is another example of it for a huge tax-based business, been around in Fairfield, California forever, brewing beer.
Van Nuys,
Budweiser
California, is that the one? Is that where it's at?
Which one?
Is it Van Nuys, California? Is that the one?
Van Nuys. That could be the PBR brewery. Yeah, the Miller Brewery. Yeah. Fairfield, California.
They're running 12 in the different things, but I was just looking. They've got 12 throughout the country doing different things.
Yep. No, the one that's closing's in Fairfield. That is the Bay Area, basically the East Bay area for the Budweiser brewery. There's another brewery up in Petaluma that has a fantastic product line of microbrews, and it's so good that Heineken bought them. And their number one deal IPA, a little something is the name of the beer that I like that they brew. We had a get together at their brewery one time, and up in the VIP room they have a bar with all the taps of everything that they brew, and the seats at the bar are beer barrels with Western saddles attached to the tops of them for everybody to sit on. And it was a party. This place was a party, man. And they have a huge courtyard where they have outdoor weekend parties with music and food and all that kind of stuff. But I can't remember the name of the damn brewery. Memory guy, it's your turn.
Yeah, I was looking up the brewery locations. Sorry, they I was just looking. The oldest one they had was opened in 1852 in St. Louis, and so what kicked me? I'm a history nerd, and so is Brandon. They've actually got a brewery in Williamsburg, Virginia. Believe it or not, Anheuser does.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the oldest brewery in the country is Yuengling.
Yeah.
Oldest brewery in the country is Yuengling. They're the oldest brewery in the country, and then I think next to them is Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's the oldest label.
So fun fact, John, where I started my trucking company, I was the first one. See, back in the day, you couldn't get Yuengling here in Ohio. So
yeah,
no different than the Coors beer east of Texas, So same thing here in Ohio. You couldn't get Yuengling in Ohio, and whenever they decided they were going to start selling in Ohio, that was a big deal. And I actually hauled the first load of promotional merchandise from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, back to Ohio for Yuengling beer. So that's my trucking claim to fame.
Damn it, son. By the way, Shannon came through. Miss Shannon in the house. Lagunitas is the brewery in Petaluma that I was trying to think of. Yeah, thank you, Shannon. And Everett Ford, what's going on, buddy? Lagunitas, what a great place, man. I love that. So I wanted to go back and visit them this last December, January when I was on the coast, but we never made it down there to them. But fantastic. But again, another American brewery sold to a European corporation, and Heineken bought them, and they kept everything the same as far as I know, though, and they let them do their thing, but they're no longer owned by the people who originally created the Lagunitas label. So different things, man. Things do change. Okay. Not afraid of change, just sometimes very disappointed about how it changed. I mean, there's huge restaurant businesses change, whatever. Look what frickin' what you call it just went through Cracker Barrel, man.
Yeah.
They tried to change. Boy, that went well.
Yeah, what a disaster. That's where when all that was going down, I'm like, man, that poor person, their marketing team, like she had to have been like, wow, like I don't even want to go out in public. Look at this. There was a lynch mob waiting for her, I'm sure, on every street corner.
I think it all goes back to this. Know your audience.
Yes.
Know your audience. Everett, yeah, good, man. Good to have you on the show. You're in Columbus. Well, there you go. You got hey. Everett Ford in Columbus down there, Brandon.
Yeah, in our neck of the woods.
Hey, back to one other thing that we were talking about on the the deregs and EPA and all this stuff maybe getting walked back. What about glider kits? will there ever be the re-emergence of glider kits, or is that just off the table?
Well, and that's something to think about. Whenever the long hood trucks now go away and we switch to these more, aerodynamic big cabs, is there really even any point of a glider at that point? You're kind of losing the nostalgia. Yeah, you can put your old engine in there, but is it going to fit? Are you going to have major fitment issues? It's I think it's going to get to the point where, like I don't think gliders will ever come back. I think they're kind of lost to history too, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, who was the big Peterbilt dealer that was their whole business was gliders?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Thanks. Yeah.
Yep.
Good job. Good job, partner. Yeah. Fitzgerald, man. I mean, their whole fucking deal went.
Yeah, I can't imagine. They were kind of cooking along with that business, and I can remember my buddy was actually he was buying fire trucks at that time. There's another thing. So the other thing we had going on was there was a supply of Detroit engines from fire trucks that were low miles. My A model, that's where my 14 liter came from in my A model, and I was kind of doing that for a while. I was doing fire truck engine installs for guys. Well, guess what's happened now? Overnight, because this manufactured fire truck shortage, fire departments are no longer going out and buying new equipment currently because everybody's just waiting to see what happens, or they can't get it. So we are not getting fire truck engines right now, and that kind of happened overnight. The same thing with Fitzgerald. When all that happened, it's like I can't imagine. They had
There's
to
a
have
lot of
been
those
scrambling
groups
trying to
going
figure it
together, like the Rev Group, Brandon. They went out, so a lot of the stuff that was going on. You had these 14, 15 different places making fire trucks. The Rev Group went in and just bought everybody out. And so you might get a fire truck that's a KME, but it's by name only. It's being made by the same group. Like it's like everything else, unfortunately. It took the fire service is slow to progress, and it took them forever and a day to do it, but they finally done it. I mean, prior to 2020, there was a bunch of different places you get fire trucks. Now there's like 3. And because even though they got them by name, but they're all part of the same group. So
that was always one of the cool things about being a fireman too, is you're right. It was so slow to progress. Like the trucking industry, the car industry was always way ahead of the truck manufacturers as far as comfort and that type of thing. And then all of a sudden, they kind of started speeding up into the future. And then the fire service, fire trucks were way back in time forever. And that was always the cool part, is like you would get trucks that would be a mid-90s truck, but it would have a 2-stroke Detroit in it. And it's like you didn't see 2-stroke Detroits in Class 8 trucks in the late 90s, but you saw them still in fire trucks. And that was always kind of
right here, buddy. my 1980 Mack Superliner had a silver 8V92 electronic fire engine in it that a guy put into that thing.
I believe it. Yeah. You would see a lot of remodels. I know a department who just got rid of an engine that had been rechassied, and it was originally from the 73, and they just got rid of it, They just kept changing it over.
Well, I had a driver in that truck, and son of a gun blew it up on me, and that was the end of that thing. I got rid of that truck finally, but I mean, I cut my teeth on that truck. That was my first, Class 8 transfer that I ever owned, and it was a beast, man. 1980 Mack Superliner with a silver dog on the hood, because it didn't have anything in it that was Mack. It was, except for the chassis, which was an aluminum frame Mack chassis. But the rest of it was, rear Peterbilt, rears and air ride and anyway. So, we got back onto that track, but that's why I was just wondering, and we didn't talk about it. Hey, Cindy, how are you, honey? Good to have you on the show, by the way. As far as anything else that was, on my mind that was out there, there's other stuff floating around. We're coming down to, 90 minutes, and Brandon, I know you probably got to get yourself back to work. I mean, get you going and headed in the right direction here. I'm glad you guys were both able to make it happen. Everybody, let us know what you guys think. If there's topics you guys want us to bring in, we will. Send us a message and let us know what it is. You guys can message me, John at 104magazine.com, or on any of the social media DMs. You guys want to do that. And of course, the comment section here on the show is open. I will be back this afternoon, 5 p.m. Pacific time, with the Studio 10-4 Live, the weekly update. And then we'll be back again next week with the morning drive. Again, everybody getting prepared and ready for all the shows that are coming up. We're into the second month of 2026 already. It's a steamroll and fast by. And if you're, not moving with it, you're going to get run over, man. This year is at a clipping along at a fast pace, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
We're
agree. We're moving. So, Matt, what do you think? You going to stick with us? You come back next week?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Should be able to. Sounds good.
All right. I appreciate that. Brandon, have yourself a good day there in Ohio. Stay warm and get something good done. And looking forward to whatever happens you bring into Matt's this year. We can talk more about that next week and figure out what that is, because I don't think we really discussed anything specific as to what you might have coming besides the bar trailer, right?
Yep, right. I've got a couple things, so we can save that for next week. That'll be a good topic.
All right, let's do that. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this morning and making this show happen. Again, we've got other stuff in the developmental stages right now coming along for Studio 10-4 Live, and what we're going to be doing. Haven't got them all ironed out yet, but right now we've got the morning drive and the weekly update for you on a Wednesday. So we'll see you guys this afternoon. Look for the promo out there and who we're going to have on the show and what's going on. Till next week, guys. We'll see you. Don't hesitate. Pick up the phone and call.
All right.
All right.
See you.